No matter how great of a chef you are, there's still a good chance that you're making some pretty grievous kitchen mistakes. We've compiled a list of the most common kitchen errors that many of us are making daily. Which ones would get you a place on the kitchen naughty list? Not following baking recipes. You may love to experiment with a pinch of this or a dash of that when cooking. But when it comes to baking, that recipe is more important than you may realize. Why is that? Because science is at work in a major way in your favorite baking recipes.
It's chemistry, so follow the recipe exactly.
Yes, chef! In baking, it's important to get the right ratio of tenderizers, like fat, sugar, and leavener, to tougheners, like flour, water, and egg whites, in order to produce a baked item that delivers the proper moistness, elasticity, or fluffiness. Not using enough salt. Yes, we all know the health police don't want us to consume too much sodium. But Time reports that the salt added in typical home cooking only accounts for around 5% of the sodium we consume. The real offender is processed food and food from restaurants. So what does this mean for you, the home cook? If your dishes always seem bland, add more salt.
It's actually good. I probably would have put a pinch of salt in it.
Is it not salt enough?
And not just at the end of your cooking process, but rather throughout cooking. Adding salt only at the end of cooking doesn't allow the salt time to penetrate your food. It will only cling to the outer surface, which will make your food seem far too salty.
Try your fish. Whoa.
Oh,
What?
that's a little salty.
A little?
Storing food the wrong way. Old habits die hard.
That's a lot of cheese.
Maybe you're still storing your tomatoes in the refrigerator because your grandma used to do it that way, but that's not where they go. What other foods are commonly misplaced? To name just a few, fresh basil will fare better when treated as a fresh flower. Trim the stems and place in a glass with some water. Potatoes, garlic, and onions prefer dark, cool, well-ventilated areas. And honey doesn't spoil, so the National Honey Board says you can leave it out at room temperature so it's easier to pour.
What happens when you refrigerate it, it tends to crystallize on you and it'll get sort of cloudy and take on a different color.
Not letting meat rest. We get it, you're hungry and that ribeye you've just lovingly cooked is filling your nostrils with its seductive aroma. Maybe you've been fantasizing about dinner for the past 3 hours and waiting another 10 or so minutes feels like torture. But do yourself and your pricey steak a favor and fight the temptation.
You guys catch that? Don't cut it right away. Exactly.
According to Serious Eats, a steak loses about 13% of its weight during cooking, but slicing it open when it's just off the heat will result in another 9% loss. And what does that loss represent? Juices, tasty juices that are holding a whole lot of flavor, so give it a rest. Overcrowding your pots and pans. We love the ease of one-pot cooking as much as the next person. But sometimes you just need to face the facts and accept that the size of the pot or pan you're using is too small for the job at hand. Pasta, for example, needs room to move, and you aren't doing it any favors by trying to cook it in that 1-quart pot. If you're crowding veggies, meat, noodles, or just about anything into a pan, the food overlapping itself is just going to create steam and leave you with a steamed meal when what you may have wanted was something crispy and browned. Give your food some room to breathe and cook in batches if necessary. It may take more time, but you'll reap the rewards.